The first law of the universe is that everything that happens in the universe happens to maximize love. Sounds kind of hokey, and you might wonder, well, Leo, can you prove it? How do you prove something like this? This sounds kind of like a fairy tale, but you can become conscious that everything that happens in the universe happens to maximize love. The movement of every single molecule is there to maximize love, but you need to be able to zoom out far enough to see it. So a corollary of this universal law is that if something is happening and you can't see the love in it, what that means is that your perspective isn't wide enough. You don't have enough elevation. So you need to broaden and zoom all the way out and look at that situation from an even higher elevation until you're able to realize that that is playing into the maximization of love in the long term, in the evolution of the universe. And you might say, well, Leo, isn't this a tautology? Seems like anything that happens then must be love, by definition, by the way that you're defining your terms. And that's exactly right. Truth is a tautology. Love is a tautology. The absolute is a tautology, which means that it's absolute. It can't be otherwise. And then the second universal law is that everyone is doing good from their point of view, given their worldview and given their life situation and circumstances. Everyone, with no exceptions. So that means another corollary here to this one is that if you see someone who you think is doing evil and is a bad person, what you're not understanding is that from their point of view, given their worldview and their circumstances, they're actually a good person. And they're acting in the name of love. No matter how twisted their actions might be, and it can get quite twisted, they're still acting from love. It's just that, of course, people can get very deluded. They can trick themselves. Consciousness can get lost in itself. It can get very contracted and very egotistical, but it's still fundamentally acting from love, no matter what it's doing or how it's acting. So these are some pretty radical claims that I'm making here. So let's go into some detail and explore some examples to help to illustrate this. So let's start off with a sort of easy one, which is a lion hunting an antelope on the savannah in Africa. How is this love? And here I want to encourage you to actually pause the video and think about it before I give you my answers. So pause right now and ask yourself, how is a lion hunting an antelope? How is this love? How does this contribute to the overall love of the entire universe? And of course, this is survival 101. You have to understand that survival is not the opposite of love. Survival is absolutely essential because without survival, nothing can exist. You can't have life without survival. You can't have life without death. You need to be able to see how death is utterly, absolutely essential for there to be life. So all the things that you enjoy, video games and sex and good food and nice vacations and beautiful sunsets and this and all of that, the only way that that's possible is through death. You cannot have any of that without death. So how do we prove this? Well, it's just very simple common sense logic here. Look, the only way that you can see a beautiful sunset and go on some beautiful vacation or honeymoon somewhere to some tropical island or see some beautiful sunset is first you have to be alive as an organism, as a mammal. How do we get mammals? Well, you can't have mammals unless you have animals hunting other animals, like a lion hunting an antelope. See? There could not be mankind, there could not be human civilization without the hunting of animals. Our ancestors couldn't have survived otherwise. Now, some vegan might come in here and say, oh, Leo, but we could transition all of mankind to eating soy and tofu and, these new technologies. We can grow meat in the lab so we don't even need to kill animals. Yes, that's possible in the future. We will have to evolve to that, and notice it's going to be a very challenging evolution. It's going to take us hundreds of years, maybe even thousands of years from today, from the 21st century, to evolve to that point. But realize that we can only get to that point because there have been literally hundreds of thousands of years and even millions of years of evolution prior to that, which has gotten us to where we are here today. See, even if you're a vegan right now, you still have to admit that you probably weren't a vegan for your whole life. You probably started out eating meat. That's because that's how your parents ate, that's how your grandparents ate, and really veganism is just a luxury of modern times, modern technology. It wasn't possible in the past. Like if your ancestors lived in the north somewhere, in Siberia or in Alaska, they couldn't survive on vegetables. You need animal protein and animal fat to survive up there. You're not going to have enough calories otherwise. See? This lion, is it the lion's fault that he needs to eat antelopes? Of course not. This is part of reality. So as brutal as it is, hunting down an antelope and then biting its neck and having it bleed to death, you might say, well, that's horrible. From the antelope's point of view, this is so terrible. Where's the love in it? Only some sort of cruel God would invent this sort of scenario. When you think this way, you're thinking very myopically. You need to zoom out and see the beauty of it. In fact, you can see the beauty of a lion hunting an antelope. In fact, if you watch videos of it on the BBC or something, there's some beautiful documentaries about it. And antelopes are beautiful creatures. And lions are beautiful creatures. And you know how that antelope got to be so beautiful? Through millions of years of natural selection. You know how that lion got so beautiful? Through millions of years of natural selection. That means that thousands of lions had to die because they were not good enough to hunt the antelopes. And thousands of antelopes had to die because they were not good enough to run away from the lions, or they didn't have the right camouflage on their fur, or their legs weren't skinny enough, or their horns weren't good enough for they weren't sharp enough to fight off the lion or whatever. And all of that has led to this beautiful antelope that now exists and this beautiful lion that now exists. See? But usually you don't think about any of this. And of course, from the antelope's point of view, does the antelope care about any of this? Does it know? Is it conscious of any of this? Is it conscious of millions of years of evolution that went into making it? Of course not. The only thing the antelope cares about in its selfishness is how to run away from the lion. And of course, you can't blame the antelope for this. It wants to live. It loves life. You see? So what I want you to see with this example is that love is moving through the entire dynamic of life, all dynamics of life, not just in the sense that, the antelope loves life. Yes, it loves life, but the lion also loves life. The lion loves its cubs, and it's got to raise its cubs. And then all the natural selection that happens to create this beautiful creature called an antelope or a lion. And then from that, humans. And then we humans, we also had to hunt antelopes or some other animals. And you see the love that went into that. And then it's that love that then leads to the evolution of the human nervous system. That human nervous system is then what's allowing you to look at a beautiful sunset when you're on your honeymoon to Hawaii or somewhere, and you see that beautiful sunset. Why are you seeing that beautiful sunset and even able to appreciate it? It's only because of the millions of years of natural selection and evolution that went into evolving your nervous system. That now you can appreciate the love. You see?